Do you guys see the difference of what I mean versus I just couldn't feel it come into extension? So the way you would test that is you'd put them into flexion, and then as you bring them into extension, it doesn't move as well. It flexes easy, it doesn't extend well. Just like when you're taking torsion, a right torsion, you go into right torsion easily, but it doesn't go into a left torsion. Then you know that's a strain. Otherwise, if they move into both of them easily, it's not a strain. Okay, it's just they move easily. They're symmetric. Okay. Sweet. So excited. Okay. Woo. So accomplished when I come here. Hopefully your faces won't look as blank as they do now, and I will feel like you actually accomplished something too. Okay. So side bending rotation. The big thing to remember about this is you have fullness on one side of the head, and that's the side that has the left with it. So a left side bending rotation is going to look like this. Okay? Hold on. I need to actually do side bends right left. Okay. So the side bending and the rotation are actually in opposite directions. So if it side bends to the left, it rotates to the right. I did that correctly, right? But what you feel is the fullness on the right. So it's actually the convexity is on the right side. So this would be a right side bending rotation, or a easier way to say it is a side bending rotation with convexity to the right. Because then it's clear. Because when you side bend your body from when you side bend to the right, you have your fullness on the left. Do you see that? So I'm side bent to the right, but my convexity is on the left. So the letter is actually where the convexity is, or it's actually how it's rotated too. You don't feel the rotation as easily. So you're going to go with the side bending more than anything.
But you would name after rotation unless added convexity.
The word, if I say the words left side bending rotation,
it means that it's side bent left, rotated right.
No, it means it's side bent right, rotated left. Because the convexity is on the left.
Okay.
So it's easier if you take left side bending rotation and put that in your head as side bending rotation with convexity to the left. Those are the same thing.
Okay.
Okay? Because that L in front of that doesn't go with how the side bending is occurring.
So it goes
with the convexity, which is the fullness, which is the opposite of the side bending, which is actually how it's rotating. But
so it's up to rotation.
The rotation is the least amount of what you feel.
Okay.
So when I'm evaluating a patient, if I have phantom hands, I find that that when I'll do it this way so you guys can go along with the same direction. So if I have a patient in front of me and I have phantom hands, I will find that they'll actually look almost like a banana. So their nose will look like it's pointing this way, and their chin will look like it's pointing this way. Here's their head. It's going to be hard to do. Okay. So when I'm looking down at them, so this is the top of their head. Here's their bangs. Okay, so ignore that. This is their chin. This is their nose. They do have eyes up here. So, proportionate. I am not an artist. Butt chin. Here's their mouth. Let's fix the lid. Give them some teeth. Okay, and then here's their nose, and it almost goes like this, and then they have their eyes up here, in their hair. And so they kind of look like they're real full on this side, and they kind of like, not quite cut off like that. They're kind of flat on this side. Sorry. It's just really not. So what I feel on them is I have, so I'm going to convert this, because I'm like here on them, right? Because they're laying with their feet sticking out. So what I feel is this. So I feel my left hand moves away from me and it gets full like a football on that side. That's how I always feel it. And my right hand comes towards me. What it really does is it side bends these two bones to the right. They both rotate to the left. So it really does this. but my perception of it is more straight this. So if you look at me from the side, as that's happening, these are coming closer together and coming towards me. These are moving away from me and becoming fuller, and they actually go towards the table. But that towards the table is the least of what we perceive in these needs. Okay? So, what axes are we talking about? This has 3 axes, and that's the difficult part about it. Alright, so when we're talking about the side bending, they're doing this. So they're both moving along vertical axes. And are they moving the same direction or opposite directions? Opposite directions along a vertical axis. And then they both move along AP axis, and they rotate the opposite way. They rotate towards the fullness.
They both rotate from
Correct. So they side bend opposite direction, and they rotate in the same direction to the opposite side of the second. And the name is for the letter on the full side. Woo-wee. Fun stuff. Okay. Left side bending rotation.
And then,
Or side bending rotation with convexity to the left.
and you said it was AP and...
Tell all 3.
And what's the other? All 3 axes? Then?
Vertical, 2 vertical axes,
Okay.
because that's
Rotation.
the side bending.
Side bending.
And then they both rotate,
So that's AP.
yeah, along this AP, which looks vertical when they're laying down.
Okay, so it's going to be AP and...
2 vertical axes
Okay, 2 vertical.
and 1 AP.
2 vertical, okay.
And they rotate the same way around the AP axis. Alright. See, that was fun. Okay, so flexion, extension. So what kind of axis do we have? 2 transverse axes, and they are rotating opposite. So if their SBS is coming superior, it's a flexion. Hi. Yes.
So like essentially every time you have bones moving in opposite direction, it's always 2 axes. I mean 2, you know, like...
No.
It gets up to,
Well, is it 2 axes?
with the exception of AP, if they move in opposite directions, it's always going to be like 2...
You're making it way more complicated than you need to.
Okay.
You can't put rules like that on.
Okay, okay.
You got to know which each one is, and that's all you need to know.
Okay.
Okay? Alright, so flexion extension is 2 transverse axes, both moving in opposite directions. SBS superior is flexion. SBS inferior is extension. So, when you go into flexion, the SBS moves superior. How does the greater wing move? Away from you, or inferior, in the anatomical position. Nice.
Are we going to be asked how it affects the sacral at all?
No. Heavens no. You might on the written, and after we finish, if you guys want to hang out, I'll try to access that still, but I was in there 15 minutes and hadn't found it. Do that before, but it's been a rough week. Somebody kept me here really late with student clothes last night. Okay. Did you? They all turn around and look at somebody. Did you? Deja, look at you. Okay. Very good. Flexion extension. So that one everybody's got really, really well. So let's go back to what's going to be our vertical strength, because I think people understand that pretty well too. So we'll just repeat that. Okay. So a vertical strain. Which axes are we working around?
transverse.
2 transverse axes. And are the bones moving in the same directions or opposite directions? Same. So if I do this, here, I'll lay them down again, sorry. And I'll show you from the side. What is that? Superior vertical strain. Because? Yes! Very good. What do your fingers look like in phantom head?
Down.
Point down. Yay! Down towards the tip. Excellent. Okay. So, if they rotate this way, then what is this called? Inferior vertical strain, because sphenoid base is inferior compared to the occiput base. Nice. Okay, so both the flexion extension and the vertical strains have two transverse axes. The difference is if they rotate in the same direction or opposite directions. All right? Excellent. So the lateral strain has what kind of axes?
Vertical.
Two vertical axes. Very good. And do they move in the same direction or opposite directions?
Opposite. This way.
Okay, same direction. If you look, this base of the sphenoid goes up, as does the base of the occiput in this motion. So which is this? A left vertical or left lateral strain or a right lateral strain? Right lateral strain. Excellent. Show me left lateral strain with your hands. Nice. Good job. Okay. So very good. Oh, easy.
Do the exam tomorrow.
What's that? What'd you say? You're not going to be able to do the
I
exam?
said, we don't even need to do it.
Oh yeah, I'll just pass you off. Great.
Just everyone here.
Okay. That's true, because, you know, how many people are here? Not as many as I expected. Is it everybody?
Three people.
Sorry.
Okay. My brain's starting to get jumbled, so.
Drew and Jeff.
Lateral torsion. So the torsion has what kind of axes? AP axes. Well, just one. And do the bones move the same direction or opposite direction? Opposite. Hey. What do your hands look like with a right torsion? Okay. So it's like opening a jar. You're holding the jar this way, and you're opening that jar. So your right hand is coming up for right torsion. And essentially your left hand feels like it's going down, but you tend to feel like the one side comes up easier than the other side goes down. So again, if we're looking for this on a patient, and we do this, and it moves easy, and we do this, and it doesn't, we raise our left hand and it doesn't move easy, then the diagnosis is a right torsion. However, if we do this on a patient and they move easy when we lift our hand to the right, when we twist, and they move easy when we lift our hand to the left, they do not have a torsion. So you can test them and then be like, oh, no torsion, move on. Alright? So when I sit down with a patient, I typically look at their head. For one, I look for any visual cues to see if they look they look shifted in any way. And sometimes you can pick it up like that. So it's a scary looking person, isn't it? Anybody else coming in here would be like, what is that? Kind of like a weird jack-o'-lantern upside down. And so I get on their head, and first of all, I feel if they move, because if they don't move, if their head is really hard feeling, or you can't feel flexion and extension, what did we say about that? Do you remember what dysfunction would cause that? Compression of, SBS, sphenobasillar symphysis or synchondrosis. It'll cause a compression at that space, and that head doesn't move well. So what kind of things could you do with that head to try to make it move better? CV4. CV4 might get that to move better. So we're jumping ahead a little bit here. So when you're doing a CV4, what are you doing? You're under the occiput, and you're really only touching the occiput in this. The occiput is cradled between your thenar eminences. All right? So I have that occiput cradled between my thenar eminences. I don't want to be out on the mastoid process, because is the mastoid process part of the occiput? No. It's part of what bone? The temporal bone. So I want to be medial to that, oh no, I already lost the name. The mastoid process. Okay? So as the head is resting in my hands, it's hard to do on the skull, but I have it resting like this, sort of, because it's more like that, right? This has to go down to the cord. what motion do we want to put the occiput into to do a compression of the fourth ventricle or ATV force?